Well, we have one person watching right now. I got my flashlight out at my shop. So, see, one person is watching right now. If you'd like to go down in the comments and type something up. We're going to be waiting for some more people to show up. Will R, thank you so much for joining in. It's good to see some participants. How's your evening going, Will R? You want me to go through my toolbox? Alright, well, let's try to figure out how to turn around my toolbox or turn around the camera. We'll just go like this here. So, where would you like me to start, Will? So, I see we have two people now watching the live stream. So, I'm going through my toolbox currently. So if anyone has anything they'd like to specifically see, or if they have any questions. Oh, hi, Boo Boo. Hello. Separate the antiques. So, what I have for antiques here are just these wrenches here, which I actually had given to me by a friend that didn't have any use for them, and I haven't found many uses for them yet, but to go through some of them, I have like an old Ford, these old Ford wrenches. I'm not actually completely sure what they were specifically meant for, but you can see these are all Ford wrenches. They have the old Ford engraved on them. And I have 3 of these. This one probably has the best looking logo on it that you can easily see. So these are old, cool, old American-made wrenches. This one is Fairmount Cleve, which is another old wrench brand. And this one is for doing hubs on older vehicles. I know one of my big hydraulic wrenches is a Billings. And these were made primarily free up space for useful tools. I actually do have some space here. I have this top drawer here that's all open or mostly open. And I also have this drawer here, which is actually a deeper one. opened up for tools. So if anyone has any questions, you can hit them down there in the comments below. Or if you have anything you want to specifically see. Or any questions or anything you specifically want to get started talking about. My top 5 tools, so that's going to be a hard one, but I'll try to do my best with that. So probably my top 5 most used tools, or at least sections, probably would be like the pliers, which this is my plier drawer. Or as we can come down at this angle, this is my plier drawer. The sockets, and then probably screwdrivers. My top 5 favorite tools would probably be this set of Snap-on screwdrivers. Probably either the Snap-on ratchet or the little Carlisle quarter wrench. And so that is 1, 2, 3. I really like the Klein pliers, and then I like the old Napa USA tools. I don't have too many duplicates actually of tools, except for ratchets. I have a few 1/2-inch ratchets. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 1/2-inch ratchets. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3/8-inch ratchets, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 1/4-inch ratchets. But I try not to duplicate too much because, probably the most duplicates I have actually is in my screwdriver section. I try not to duplicate because if I'm spending money on duplicate, I can usually be putting that money towards another tool that I need. Yeah, each ratchet is different. Probably the highest quality ratchets I have will be first the Snap-on, of course. This is the 80 tooth Snap-on comfort grip, non quick release head. And then probably second to that will be these Carlisles. I really like the 1/4-inch. This is honestly my favorite 1/4-inch ratchet. And then the Snap-on's my favorite 3/8-inch ratchet. Like, my problem with the Husky, like this is when they came out with the 100 tooth ratchet. My problem with it is when you get it and going down, it won't turn. So that's what's turned me away from the 3/8-inch, the 100 tooth ratchets. The 80 tooth is really nice. And then the Tekton ratchets are extremely nice in my opinion as well. Like, I really like to use this 1/4-inch composite Tekton ratchet. My only complaint about it so far is that the directional switch is backwards from pretty much all my other ratchets. So, like the Snap-on, you flip it to your left to go onto tightening, and you flip it to your right for loosening, while this one is lefty for tightening. For loosening, and righty for tightening, which technically would make sense, thinking righty tighty, lefty loosey, but you get used to when all your other ratchets are the same direction as the snap-on. Or like, I picked this one up. I haven't used this one too much, but even without much use, it is extremely smooth. And this is the Tekton. This was when I got this right after it came out with the quick release heads. And I just dropped the ratchet on the ground. But I got this right after it came up with the quick release head design on the ratchets. And I got this specifically for my Morgan, actually, which, is a little hard to get to. It's not hard, but this definitely made pulling the spark plugs a lot quicker. Yes, that's actually something that is on my Christmas list, or on something that I'm saving up for. I've been looking at the Milwaukee M12 electric ratchet, actually, because I've been using like the standard impact, or the impact drill, and it doesn't really have as much torque, and you can't get into the tight spaces. So I definitely want to get some of the battery operated ratchets, because I do have Milwaukee batteries. I just need to get a ratchet to run it on, which, as I've been looking, is about $80. So it's not too bad for just the tool. And then also, like, some of my research I've also done is that, like, the AC Delco, they have their own line of power tools. Yes, I did watch the Project Farm video on that, on the ratchets. It was actually surprising, the results, but not very surprising that the Harbor Freight was the worst, as usual. But Harbor Freight does. I know people bash Harbor Freight all day, but they do have some products that are kind of economical. Yeah, I watched that video almost all the way through, and it was interesting, the results, and the fact that cheaper ratchet almost did better than the almost twice the amount the Harbor Freight charged for theirs, and that the cheaper one did better than the Harbor Freight. Or the hazard fraud, as AVE says. Well, we can kind of go on to that now. Will, who has some good tools? The Harbor Freight. I do agree that the Harbor Freight, a lot of my tools are actually Harbor Freight in here. I mean, we can go through all the tools and see which ones are Harbor Freight in here. I have, I got the plier set, the Quinn plier set from Harbor Freight. It actually does pretty good. I've only had to replace this dike once because I wore it out. I mean, most of my gloves are Harbor Freight because they're best price for the quality that you get. 2 of my hammers in here are Harbor Freight. The big ball peen, the 24 ounce, and the claw hammer. Or like the picks up here, which I really don't like the Harbor Freight picks. They seem to bend way too easy for me, but like the Harbor Freight picks, they do work. Or like the bit set from Harbor Freight. I really did not like this, but this rivet gun seems to work pretty well. Or like the batteries, not the greatest, but they do work. or the Crowfoots, the flare nut Crowfoots. I do like these quite a bit. They have not failed on me yet. And what I like about them is I haven't spent a ton of money on them. So when I have to grind one down, like this one here, if you look compared to like this one to this one is ground down a lot to be able to fit next to a starter to pull a starter bolt out of, I can't remember what machine I had to do that on, but that was a Harbor Freight. Thank you so much, Diabolical 58, for joining in. I really hope this isn't too boring for y'all, but if you have some questions to spice it up, please throw them down in the comments. Or, I mean, my first like screwdriver set I bought by myself. I mean, that's a Harbor Freight, and they work pretty well. They don't fit quite as well as the Snap-ons, but they definitely work well. I mean, all my scrapers that I have are Harbor Freight, and I don't feel bad for grinding them apart. Yes, Amazon has a lot of great prices on tools, but then others, they don't have the greatest deals. I mean, probably one of my favorite tools that I've gotten off of Amazon is my trim panel remover kit I got off of Amazon. I think this was like $25. Works pretty well. I mean, it's not the most rigid. So, I mean, it's not the non-marring ones aren't the most rigid, but they definitely do have their place and they do work well. When I have had to pull trim out of different cars. But I've used them on like a Toyota, and the hard part is about a Toyota is everything's fit. The fitment on those are so tight, and just how tight it is, it makes it so hard to get apart with those more the flimsy ones. But when I've used them on Ford, does it come apart easily? Yes, it does. I mean, another tool that I really like from Harbor Freight are the flare nut wrenches. I have like the flare nut wrenches here from Harbor Freight. They work quite well, even though they're not the the highest quality. I have not broken one or bent one out of shape yet, but I haven't worked on the most rigorous fittings using those. Plastic, yeah, plastic is better. Or I mean, Amazon. Another deal I got off of Amazon was like what's this? The 14-inch rigid pipe wrench. I've used this only a few times, but I think it was like $2 or $3 more at Home Depot. So I mean, not too much of a deal, but it definitely was more of a saving. Well, I mean, biggest of all, 2 out of 3. Actually, most of my toolboxes are Harbor Freight, and I really enjoy the Harbor Freight toolboxes. I think they are definitely worth their money. Like the side cabinet is built quite well. And then my box that when I go down to a ranch to work during the summer is a Hazard Fraud. And that thing holds all the tools I slam into it quite well. If anyone has any other questions, and also just checking to make sure that, because it's only saying I have 2 out of 3 bars of Wi-Fi connection, and I just want to make sure that the quality is okay for you guys watching. And I also plugged my phone in because I was hitting low battery. Yeah, it is quite cold. I think it's 30 degrees right now. It's not enough to really see the breath on camera, but it is quite chilly out. I mean, we go back to the Harbor Freight conversation. I mean, I will say I have not broken a Harbor Freight pick yet when using them, while I have broken all of my Snap-on, or not all of them, but 2 of my 4 Snap-on picks off using them. But I think that's also because I was more confident in my Snap-on pick working versus putting the Harbor Freight pick in that spot and it possibly failing. I'm from Nevada, Reno, Nevada area. All right, I'm really glad the quality is good. I was hoping that this would work out, but I was not completely sure. I mean, other topic I think we can go on is like the deals, the used tool deals. I mean, we can just start up from the. We can start out from the screwdriver drawer. I don't know why I had such a brain fart there, but like this is an old Mac screwdriver. I found it at an estate sale. There we go. You can see that. I tried to look up the part number on that and I could not find any results on the Mac website. But I got this. I want to say that's like a 12-inch or 10-inch long. It's a little quarter-inch, I believe. I'm sorry, like a 7/32 kind of size screwdriver, and I got that for $3. I found this Mac screwdriver. This one's worth $20, and I found this just lying around in the dirt actually in one of the irrigation ditches around the ranch that I worked at during the summer. I found these old Proto. These are the older Proto. They look very similar to the Klein. You could slip off the rubber outer coating and stick a wrench on it. I found these. I think these were $2 or $3 each, and I used these as my beater screwdrivers because they're only worth $15 about, but they are pretty freaking tough. I mean, this ratchet here I found again just lying out in the dirt because someone dropped it and didn't care about it enough. So some of my larger wrenches, like this big wrench here, I got for $20, which is not too bad. When I found this up in rural Nevada, right next to right next to the Four Corners where Idaho meets Oregon, and well, it's not really Four Corners, but Oregon meets California, and California meets Nevada, and Idaho, all that area. I found a old store up there when we were on a vacation. I found those wrenches. Or this one, I think I got for $15, and this is an old Williams, which is the Snap-on Industrial branded tools. Or I found these Blackhawk. This is the 1-inch and the 1/8 combination wrench. I think these were $4 each. And then I found the Proto 1-inch Challenger series for, I think that was $6 at some sale. A friend actually gave me this old Mac 12-inch crescent wrench, and I cleaned it up and got it nice and smooth. Took a burr to the end because people used it as a hammer and it wouldn't go out all the way. Cleaned it up, and the thing is just a tough and tight-fitting crescent wrench. It's not got the smallest jaws, which I personally like when you're cranking on something, so it isn't stripping it out as easy. But found that for real cheap. Found this old Dalmoid or Diamond Farrier horse and horseshoe company crescent wrench, another 12-inch for, I want to say, $10 when we were on a trip. The same places that I got all the wrenches. And then, like in this drawer here, most of these tools were given to me, like this timing light. An old friend was getting rid of a lot of his old tools. And he gave that to me, which is really, really nice of him. Like this vacuum gauge and the vacuum testers, a starter switch. This is actually for the Morgan I have. This is for getting both carburetors to be in sync in their throttle. And it, I've not used it yet, but it's a carburetor synchronizing tool. Trying to see what else that I've just picked up with different deals and steals. I mean, that's the most of them, but I mean, that's what you get when you look around at different garage sales and estate sales and just little shops here and there around. One of my more weird tools that I found, I'm not completely sure what it is, but as you can see, it has a hexagonal hole right above this, what looks like a larger socket. And then, as you can tell by the fragments on the, it looks like it was cut there, and then has part of a hexagonal hole. And I have no clue what it's from or what this was for, but it was made by Tool USA, and found that just lying on the dirt. So I was like, well, we can add that to the collection and hopefully need to use it one day. I mean, that's another way also to get more higher end tools without, like the tool truck company tools, without spending your entire wallet on just a few tools. If anyone has any other ideas to talk about, or any other questions, or any other comments, that's what I was figuring. I'm just not sure exactly what it was for. The Morgan is quite well. I haven't done much with it in the last couple of days because last week I was actually, or 2 weeks ago, I went out on a hunting trip and we were out for that entire week. and I covered up the Morgan. I just haven't uncovered it since then. And it's also been quite cold for driving it out around here because it's been getting up in the 40s or the 50s in the day, and it's quite chilly with that breeze going across you. But it is doing quite well. I do have some upgrades in mind for it. I'm looking to put a new coil on it. The Accel coils look nice, and you can get them in nice chrome. And then I'd like to put some new wires on it. But the fun thing is about that is I went to my local Napa auto parts store in my area, and I went there to look for some bulk spark plug wire, and I was looking for some 8mm because it was about good enough resistance to work with the coil I was looking at. And when I went there to look for just the bulk spark plug wire, they couldn't find anything except for 100-foot roll for the spark plug wire. So that was quite interesting and disappointing. They want $200 for that roll. Tires are important. Yes, I actually do have a flat on the Morgan, but I replaced it with the spare, but I still need to get the new tire put on. The tires that are on it are tubeless. The tires, they're a little bit older, but they're in really good shape because it was kept inside in a humid environment. So the Morgan was really taken care of, or was taken up care of quite well. But we're still working on getting a shop to be able to put it in. But the tires are in pretty good shape, but I ran a nail and they're tubed tires, so it's not something I can quite fix on my own. And we just haven't found time to take it to a tire shop and get it fixed. And the tires that are on it are actually BF Goodrich, so they're really high quality tires that are on it. I mean, they probably are too old to be properly using, but they're sure a lot better than some ranch tires that are worn out to the threads, and they still expect to get 3 years out of them. I'll probably replace them soon enough, but that's not the highest on my priority list. Get a build it yourself kit. It's a lot cheaper than that. Just make sure you get a good crimper. That's what I've been looking at online, and I haven't found any kits that have really shown themselves to me that, but I'll definitely get a better look at that and re-explore that idea because I definitely would like to get new plugs. I mean, plugs, newer wires and a new coil on that. Yeah, the rubber gets old, but I'm not using it every day. It's only like a weekend driver, and I don't have the money right now to be able to put new tires on it. And I know my parents can't put new tires on it, so I'll take my chances until I get enough money to put new tires on it. But definitely, if I was driving as a daily driver, which surprisingly not, the person that owned it before me did build it as a daily driver, but I'm not using that as right now, so I have no reason to get and to pay the money to put new tires on it. Get a spark plug wire specific cutter. Okay. I'll look on the web to try to find that makes sense. Just a specific cutter and crimper for the spark plug wires, so you can get that center core stripped out properly. Thank you so much for all the help and all the advice. And I'm also planning, once I find somewhere or get a little shack built, to start working on that old Jeep Gladiator that I pulled off of a ranch. And I'm thinking, actually, we can talk about that a little bit. So my idea, pulling the for doing that Jeep Gladiator, is I'm actually going to put a Chevy 350 engine in it, because it's an easy going engine that'll run for a long time. So I can put that in there, which doesn't have too many engine mounts. So I'll be able to put that in quite easily. I'm going to find like a newer Jeep from like the 2000s, like an old Jeep Wrangler, and pull the transmission, the transfer case, because the 2000s, the early 2000s one were still shift. So I'm going to pull the transmission, the transfer case, and pull the shock mounts for the axles off of one of those older rigs, and fab that up on my frame so I can turn the leaf spring suspension into a coil spring, because both the early 2000s Jeeps were Dana 44s, and my Jeep also has Dana 44 axles on it. So it should meet up fairly well. Obviously, there'll be a lot of modification with it, but it should work well. And then I can find use a junkyard 350. Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking, because I don't have the money for 5 grand. Hey, one mechanic, thanks so much for stopping in and watching. But exactly, that's what I'm looking at, is getting an old junkyard 350, because I can get it for like 400 or 500 bucks instead of dropping like 4 or 5 thousand on a brand new engine. I was also looking at the Chevy turnkey, like the crate engines, which you can get at a turnkey, but I don't have the budget to be able to drop that, because once I put the engine in there, I won't be able to do anything else on the rig. But I also get that Jeep raised up about 4 or 5 inches, maybe even 6 inches, and put some 33-inch tires on there, so we can make it go like 50 miles per hour on the roads that a regular pickup truck can only go 20, 30 miles per hour on. Just get it running well so we can get to places that you probably shouldn't be going, but we'll try to get there. All my friends have been telling me to put a Cummins in the Jeep, but I don't. Obviously, there's not enough money in the world, for me at least at this moment, to be able to stick a Cummins in the engine. But if I get an old junkyard 350, I'll be able to tune it well enough to be able to make some good horsepower and some good torque to be able to get some places on the trail. And I also have looked a little bit, and you can find some adapter kits from like a 350 engine to be able to adapt to like an old 2000s Jeep, like a Wrangler engine, or to the transmission. The other thing I was thinking is getting one of the old like Jeep Cherokee inline sixes. I'm trying to remember the displacement number and what you specifically call them, but I just remember that the old inline sixes run forever. If anyone has any questions, just hit them down there in the comments. Give us some more stuff to talk about. Now we have 5 people in the chat, or 5 people watching. Thank you, everyone that's watching. I really appreciate it. How you doing, one mechanic? You doing good? Yeah, that's the other thing, Will, is that they're so one mechanic I've had a old Jeep Gladiator, a 65 Jeep Gladiator, and I pulled it off of a ranch. It was just sitting out there rotting, and it just cabin frame with big rolling frame, and I pulled it back hoping to restore it or tried to do something with it. But I got it for completely free, so that's why I have it. And like Will said, there's a lot of parts available and a lot of, like, conversion kits to be able to get a 350 to 350 engine to meet up to basically anything. Yeah, Jeep is one of those die-hard American brands for sure. And then I'm also trying to figure out with his most recent series that I was working on was that ATV engine swap series where I was taking a '05 Honda Recon 250, and because the engine blew up in that quad, and how you could it was blown up. Whenever you rid it, you made sure to have your crappy pants on because you get a nice oil ring right where your legs cupped the engine. And so I had my old ATV. I probably should not have jumped it, but I jumped it and I broke the frame and was unable to fix the frame. So I pulled the engine out of that quad and was hoping for something else to put it in. And happily, this frame of this other ATV came. So I've been working on trying to get it to meet up. I really want to buy a 88 and 91 Grand Wagoneer. Bad. Yeah, the Wagoneers are really sweet rigs. Oh, an all stock one. That's that would be a sweet rig to drive. But so I've gotten on my ATV engine swap now. I have it all together. I have my starter system going. I have my electrical tidied up. I have my exhaust welded and hooked up, and I have my oil system actually mostly patched up. It only drips a quart an hour of running, so we're we're getting close. But for some reason now, the engine will not run well enough. I think it's because I have my exhaust choked too much. I've already pulled up my carburetor and cleaned it twice, and I can't figure out why it still won't start running. Tin pan. Tool that I really want. I don't know, because I'm trying to step back from buying as many tools right now, because there are other things in the world to spend money on other than just tools. And I think I've reached a little bit of a plateau for right now on how many tools I want to buy. But probably sorry, there was a lot of noise in the background, and I kind of stopped to question what was happening in the background. But one tool that I am saving up for is a electric ratchet. In fact, we were talking about that a little bit earlier in the live stream. I'm hoping to buy an electric ratchet because I have too many ratchets. If I can figure out how to get this centered in the screen. Other way. There we go. It's all backwards. But I have too many ratchets, as you can see. And I'm thinking about getting a electric ratchet, but that's going to take a little bit of saving up for. Tin pan, you don't have to be snappy with me. Um, no, I'm not still working on the ranch right now because of so one mechanic to answer your question that you asked. I'm not working on the ranch anymore right now because I have school and there's just the only time really for me to be able to get down to the ranch to work on equipment is during the weekend, and I don't really have a ride to be able to get down to the ranch during the weekend. So I'm not working on the ranch right now, and school is really taking up all my time, so I don't even really have time to try and find another job, which is a little disappointing to pull in some extra money or some money to, buy more tools. I do have a lot of money saved up from when I was working on the ranch, which I don't intend to spend, but do I have a really, but yeah, I'm not working on there right now, but I probably will go back down there during the summer. Do I have a really good torque wrench? Sadly, the best torque wrench I have is not a very good one because the torque wrenches I have are just the Pittsburgh. I have the half inch, which is foot pounds, the 3/8 inch, which is in foot pounds, and the quarter inch, which is in inch pounds. That is actually another item that I'm probably going to buy in the future. But for me right now, these Pittsburgh, the quick style torque wrenches do work well enough for any of the projects or any of the stuff I do work on. It's not the most high precision stuff, but the torque, just, the Harbor Freight torque wrenches, they do work quite well for what I, have to use them for, like I already said. And eventually, I will save up and buy a nice, digital one that I can change up and around. But this is the best I have right now. I got one for $20, and then I got the other two for $10 with one of the coupons. Which, sorry, $30 for three, or $40 for three wrenches is not a bad deal. And if I remember correctly, by all the specific standards and stuff, these are about 15% accurate, which, puts you in the range of about 2 foot pounds, which for me is just about as accurate as I need to be. I do have one of the certification letters or notes in one of these boxes. So I'll grab that out to just double up so I'm not spreading wise tales and not spreading lies, that I'm actually telling the truth. Yeah, the digitals are the best. I don't have $100 to dump on a torque wrench right now, so let's see. This is the little certification note. It says you have to get it renewed every blah blah blah. Sorry, 4% accuracy. So if this is 4%, that'll put you, for say you're torquing it down to 10 foot pounds, that'll put you in the range of either 10.4 over, or the highest it'll technically be is 10.4, and the lowest it'll be is 4%. Yeah, is 10.4 or 9.6. So close enough accuracy for me. I know there's a lot fancier ones out there, but they work well enough for what I have going on, which is not too much. I got to be up in 4 hours. Thank you for coming into the stream it's really good to see here one mechanic. So thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate all the support. But these little click style are good enough for me. I actually have a little testing gauge. I would like to also get one of the torque, not adapters, but one of them that you can hook your ratchet up to, and then it tells you how much torque you're inputting, and then is able to hook up to whatever bolt you're torquing down. But here I actually have this little test rig. Thank you everyone for stopping in. It was really good to see you all. But I have one of these testing rigs I welded up. So as you can see, the top here is welded on, and the bottom here is welded on. And then I have the top so I can stick a socket on there. And I'm able to set this up in the vise. We can set that up to work here. There we go. That might work a little better. But we have it. I'm going to grab my toolbox, set this camera on. I'm not giving you guys the worst view ever possible and imaginable. And so, let's stick our testing rig in here. And I have done like some torture tests with different ratchets using this rig, and it does work. But recently I broke my vise off of my table again because I only have particle board for my table material, and it doesn't work the best for high intensity operations. So we'll make this work. So here we can grab adapters going down. This is a 3/4 inch bolt head, which is pretty ergonomical and pretty common. And then we can step down the sizes down from a 3/8 to a 1/4 inch. And then you can hear the clicking. Which will be hard when I'm throwing you guys all around the room. But you can hear the clicking. So we could turn it up quite a bit to be able to we can turn it all the way up so you can really hear the clicking sound, and everything is falling. But to really hear that clicking sound you get with these click style torque wrenches, which is really not that much. That is one downside of these torque wrenches, is that they're not, when you're down in your lower torque specs, you really do not get as much of that heavy click to really signal that you've hit that torque spec, while a digital one really beeps at you and lets you know when you've met your torque spec. As you can hear, that's all the sign that the little 1/4 inch will give you, but we can step it up to the 1/2 inch and put it on the low setting, which will give you more of a realistic click. Mainly, I just use the Snap-on one when I'm torquing down lug nuts on a car or a truck or an ATV to be able to get somewhere in the right area of what torque spec I need to be safe. and because I am all the way up to 110 foot-pounds, which is way too much to be able to do on this little test rig without my vise hooked down. But we can turn it down to like a 30 foot-pound area. There we go. So you can hear how loud it is with the clicking on these. So it's loud enough and it's accurate enough to do all the stuff I'm able to do, like I've already said. So that's my little testing rig. We might be able to, if so, here, everyone down in the comments below, let me know if you'd like to torture test a ratchet tonight. So if you'd like to torture test a ratchet tonight, hit that down there in the comments, in the live comments. Let me know if you would like to, or if you would not like to torture test a ratchet tonight. Or we could torture test a wrench. We got 5 people watching, so let me know right now down in the comments if you'd like to see a ratchet torture test. Alright. Figure out the choosing of the ratchet to test right now. CP the Tool Addict, thank you so much for joining into my live stream. Really appreciate it. So tonight we're going to be doing a little torture testing on a Husky ratchet. So this is my 100-tooth Husky ratchet. This is with the lock-gauge flex head. Don't tear up anything. And this ratchet has been pissing me off lately because when you, let me grab a deep socket. When you get down to, when you start pushing it down this way on the ratchet, it locks up and it really will not like to turn when you're on a bolt. So, should we do it or should we not? We got 4 people right now watching. Or we might torture test a wrench. Alright. Sounds like CP is in favor of breaking the ratchet. Or you can even break one of the Pittsburgh ratchets, but we can save that for another night. I have my 3/4 inch socket here. And this will also be a test for, so I'll give better view here now. So as you can hear it, since it's at that angle, it has a really rickety sound to it. So since my vise is not hooked down, we are going to torture test it. Using a good hammer. So we can start giving her some blows Unfortunately, I do not have a torque spec. Try not to hurt myself. We'll give it some good first blows. You can also grab a little bit of a cheater. I'm going to adjust the angle of this handle a little bit just because it's slouching a bit. So that gives us about a neutral position. And here, let's make everyone happy now. Figure out so the first thing to give out on the ratchet is looking to be this indexing flex. So you can see how it's torn itself right apart. So let's put it in the highest position that we can lock it into, which is about that much angle. Now let's give her the beaten. Again, broke because, and it's also broken the little lever part here. It's all screwed up. Things are flying. Well, looks now that it's about giving out. The changer is locked up. And the indexing flex will not stay in position. So turns about one direction sometimes. Oh, it's completely locked up now. We killed her. That actually didn't take too much. "8-foot cheater pipe," says Diabolical. That didn't take much. So, does anybody in the chat have any ideas what we should continue doing? Any discussion questions? Any ideas of what we should talk about? Yep, Husky lifetime guarantee. Says will 1, 2, and 3 times. Oh, now our selector switch is completely gone. Try to see if we can loosen up the head at all. Let's deconstruct it. I got my little snap ring pliers. Got the snap ring out. So break her apart. The pawl our double pawl has still looks in good shape. The teeth are marred up, but looks in good shape. But our problem is right here. If you can get it right at the right angle, it has the nice sparkly fracture marks. I mean, it's a textbook Strex fracture mark. And then our pins are mushroomed over. The pins to push the pawls into the gear train. So that right there is the problem why it broke. And then we can also pull apart the main body. So we just drop everything on the ground as usual. But we can see literally as blue Loctite on the gear. I mean, sorry, not the gear. On these bolt going through the head of the ratchet to keep the head on, and the blue Loctite has released its grasp and selector switch has lost its spring. And here we get now much better look at that pawl there where it gets locked in. Is all chewed. And that's why this selector now was unable, because as you could see, it has a semicircular contact plate so that it'll contact almost a third of the pawl as you are wrenching on it, but it doesn't have that much contact point in the center, so just stripped it out. it actually looks like, if you can see here, as we stick the pawl on there, these gears really are not eccentric to each other, and they do not mesh very well. So I think that right there is the main problem with this stripped out here, because the gears didn't fit properly. Another one to show you is the cheap Pittsburgh ratchet, which this thing gave out on me on the day I bought it. I mean, $15, not much of a loss, but the Jesus thing gave out on me on the first day I got it. You know, it's all cool with its swivel head, but the Jesus thing gave out on the first day of me buying it, which that was kind of disappointing. And I've gotten two of these. And they've both built. I mean, not built. They both broke not long after I bought them. The actual revolving part works just fine, but the screws, I think they have something wrong with their screw dimensional sizes, because when they're screwed in to the front plate, they just pull straight out. It's that cheap Chinese. I mean, honestly, it probably could have been putting too much torque on the ratchet, which I could admit that I was probably doing that, but still, it stripped out that easily. I wasn't putting much more than 20, 30 foot-pounds of torque on it, which is probably too much for the ratchet. But the last one I broke, I actually pulled off the handle off of it, which actually is quite easily done. Crispy, thanks for joining the stream. Don't be sorry you're late. You weren't expected to be here, but I really appreciate you coming. But you can easily pull off this handle. I just used the vise last time. And there, you can already see that's the bolster that lines up with the handle, and it's already ripping out. Just line it up with the end and try not to pull it straight into my gut. But I just pulled it apart like that last time, and I pulled the handle off. This is actually how I did it. Now I remember. But with that handle that I pulled off of this, to continue on with the point I was trying to get at, is I took my little Craftsman roto head ratchet, which these roto heads are actually pretty nice. Craftsman doesn't make the worst one. It's got pretty fine teeth, and when you lube it up, it works pretty well. But I stuck the handle in on this ratchet because it was just a chrome handle, about as thin as this, which, you know, not the most comfortable in the hand. And I just hammered this handle onto that, which made it a lot more comfortable. There we go. So I just pulled the handle off, and I just stick it on the little ratchet, which I'm thinking about making it fit on this Husky ratchet. We could just use a little bit of gentle persuasion. And now we have a fancy handled little ratchet. Comfortable in the hand, easily done, easily. And this little ratchet I actually really like. Nice and small, it's pretty smooth. And now with this handle, it fits nice in the hand. It looks a little weird, but it definitely does work well. So I think we're gonna wrap up the stream here now. It's getting a little late. I have school tomorrow. I actually do not have school tomorrow. I almost forgot about that. I'm sorry that I lied to you guys, but I forgot that it is Veterans Day. So for all of you, just remember, if you're a veteran, I give my condolences and I give my thanks out to all of you for helping serve our country. And if you have a friend or someone that is a veteran, give them your thanks because they're helping us be here in this amazing country at this point in time and given so much up so that we can live in the greatest country in the entire world. So remember, thank a veteran, and I really appreciate everybody who's watched this live stream. And I hope that you all will tune in the next time I have one, and we'll go and watch my videos. If you haven't given this live stream a like yet, please go and give it a like. If you did not like the live stream, then give it a dislike. So, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.